Ever felt like you didn't belong here? Like something deep inside you was always different? Like no matter how hard you tried to fit in, the world just didn't understand you? If you felt that way, this message is for you. Because what if I told you? You're not crazy, broken, or too sensitive. You're awakened. You're the chosen one. And long before you even knew it, others sensed it, especially the narcissists. They saw your light when you were still hiding it. They attacked you not because you were weak, but because you were powerful and didn't even realize it yet. Thoth, the ancient Egyptian god of wisdom, once said, "The god who awoke first fell to earth." That's you. You are the one who came here with a purpose. You just forgot for a while, but now you're remembering. This video is going to open your eyes, confirm your path, and explain why narcissists always tried to control, confuse, or crush you. But they failed. Because deep down you always knew you're not like the rest. You were sent here, chosen for something greater. So if this speaks to your soul, don't scroll away. Stick with me till the end. You're about to unlock truths that will shift how you see yourself forever. And hey, if you feel this in your heart, join our tribe. Drop a heart in the comments to let other chosen ones know you're awake. Show some love, share your story, and help light up this space for others like you. This is more than a video. It's a homecoming. Welcome back, Divine One. Let's begin. You were never meant to live an ordinary life. From the very beginning, something about you was different. You may not have known what it was, but deep inside, you could feel it. There was a quiet strength, a deep knowing, and a strange feeling that you were here for something more. You weren't just born by chance, you were planted here like a special seed with a powerful purpose, and that purpose was hidden even from you until the time was right. Long ago, an ancient being named Thoth, known as the god of wisdom, spoke of a truth most people have forgotten. He said that the one who awakens first will be the one most hunted, not hunted with swords or weapons, but hunted with lies, rejection, and pain. That person would face more confusion, more loneliness, and more struggle than the rest. Why? Because their light would be seen before they even realize they had it. Now here's where the hook hits deep. You are that person. That light people tried to dim, that strange feeling that made others uncomfortable. It was your soul remembering who you are. And the more you began to awaken to your truth, the more others around you tried to shut you down. Some laughed at your dreams, some betrayed your trust, some made you question your own worth, but it wasn't because you were weak. It was because your spirit shook their darkness. You reminded them of what they had forgotten in themselves, and the ones who live in fear and pride, especially narcissists, couldn't stand to see you rise. But now the secret is out. You're not broken, you're not too sensitive, you are awakened. The world didn't reject you because you were wrong. It rejected you because your light was real. You were chosen to wake up early, to feel deeper, to see clearer, and to walk through the fire so others could one day follow. This is not the end of your journey. This is just the beginning of your rising. You are here on purpose. You carry something this world desperately needs, and no matter how hard they try to hide it from you, your soul already knows you were never meant to be ordinary. You didn't just fall into this world by accident. You chose to come here. Yes, you. The pain, the confusion, the loneliness, it all had a reason. A long time ago, before you were born, your soul knew what it was doing. You were powerful, full of light and wisdom. But to help heal this world, you had to step into it, not as a god, not as someone everyone would listen to, but as someone they would doubt, hurt, and ignore. Why? because only by feeling lost could you one day help others find the way. Your fall wasn't a punishment. It was a mission. You didn't fall, you descended. You came here with a purpose. But part of that mission meant forgetting who you truly are, so that when you remembered, it would change everything. Now, you're waking up. Now, you're starting to remember. The dreams, the signs, the strange way you always knew things other people didn't understand, those were never just imagination. That was your soul breaking through the fog. You're not weak for falling. You're brave for volunteering. You didn't lose your power. You hid it so it couldn't be taken. And now you're rising, stronger, wiser, ready, because the world is about to remember who you are too. And this time, they can't stop you. Have you ever felt like you were seeing things others couldn't? Feeling emotions more deeply than the people around you? Noticing lies when everyone else seemed to believe them? Scream to prove yourself. Your presence does that for you. You no longer chase people, places, or things. You attract truth by simply being it. You no longer try to explain your worth to those who are committed to misunderstanding you. You've learned that some people weren't sent to love you, they were sent to trigger your awakening. And you bless them and release them because your energy is sacred now. Now that you remember, the illusion has shattered. You see beyond the surface. You feel what's real. You know who you are. And because of that, you are no longer movable. Not by manipulation, not by fear, not by the opinions of the world. You are rooted, anchored, lit from within. The Divine One has risen, and this time you stay risen. You've walked through darkness that tried to convince you it was your home. You've worn masks just to survive. You've questioned your worth in rooms that couldn't even see your light. And yet, despite the pain, the rejection, and the silent nights where it felt like no one understood, you are still here. Not just surviving, but slowly, powerfully remembering. And now that you remember who you truly are, nothing can ever control you again. This entire journey wasn't to destroy you, it was designed to awaken you. Every heartbreak, every betrayal, every battle you didn't ask for, they were all part of the soul training. The divine wasn't punishing you, it was preparing you. It was strengthening the warrior inside of you that knew how to love even when unloved, how to speak truth even when silenced, and how to stand alone without losing your soul. Now, you've stepped out of that old version of yourself, the one who doubted, begged, explained, and broke under the weight of others' opinions. You're no longer that version, you've risen. And the moment you remembered who you are, the game changed. No longer can narcissists manipulate you because you've pulled the plug on the illusion they operated in. You see the games now, you feel the shift in energy before they even speak. You no longer hand over your power in exchange for crumbs of approval. You've outgrown that version of yourself. You've become the one who sets the standard. You're no longer the one chasing peace, you are the peace. And anyone who approaches you now must come correct because your energy doesn't lie anymore. You're aligned with truth, and that truth has set you free. Fear? It may still whisper, but it no longer leads, because now you walk in awareness. Now you know that fear is not your guide. It's just a shadow of who you used to be. Self-doubt? It may knock on your door, but it no longer gets to live in your mind rent-free. You've rewired your thoughts. You've come to realize that if you were truly not enough, you wouldn't be attacked by darkness trying to dim your light. They only target what threatens their illusion. And you? You are the walking truth. You are the awakened one, the chosen, the mirror that shattered every false reflection they built. Let them call you crazy. Let them say you changed. You have. You've risen into your divine identity. You don't need outside confirmation anymore because your inner knowing has become unshakable. You're no longer asking, why me? You're standing in the knowing that it had to be you, because only someone like you could carry this light through this kind of world. Only a soul like yours could walk through the storms and come out with wings. You are not broken. You are born for this. And now that you remember, you're no longer here just for yourself. You're here for the ones still searching. You're here for the ones still trapped in self-doubt and toxic cycles. You are the example of what it looks like to rise after betrayal, to love after loss, to glow after being dimmed. You are proof that remembering your divinity breaks every chain man ever tried to place on you. And you don't need to shout it from rooftops. Your energy speaks, your walk, your silence, your glow, it all tells the story now. You've stopped explaining your peace to people addicted to chaos. You've stopped watering dead things, stopped asking others to see your heart, and stopped trying to fit into systems that were never built for you. You've detached from control, manipulation, and emotional bait. You've taken your power back fully. And with that power, you are creating space for joy, rest, abundance, healing, and truth to take root in your life. You've become dangerous to darkness because you are no longer afraid of it. You've faced your shadow, you've kissed your pain, and you've held your inner child through the storms. You are not bitter, you are blessed. Because everything you thought would break, you actually built the most powerful version of you. You walk now not as a wounded person seeking justice, but as a healed one radiating light. And your presence alone unsettles what isn't pure. You don't even chase destiny anymore, you attract it. Because now you're aligned. You are the bridge between the old world and the new. The soul who learned how to be human without forgetting the divine. You are not alone anymore, not in your pain and not in your purpose. You chose to awaken early so that others would have a light to follow when it was their turn. Your footsteps are now a path. Your story is now a lantern. You didn't just rise for yourself. You rose so that others would know rising is possible. So if you're still healing, still hurting, still wondering when your time will come, know this: it already has. Just by being here, just by surviving everything you did and still choosing love, you've already fulfilled part of your mission. The rest? It's unfolding now. Stay grounded, stay open, keep being the light you never had, and know that even when no one sees you, heaven does, the divine does. The ones who will follow in your footsteps, they will. You didn't wake up too soon. You woke up right on time, for them, for the world, and most importantly, for the soul you were always meant to become. For a long time, you forgot who you were. Not because you were weak, but because the world did everything it could to make you forget. From the moment you arrived here, the noise of this world tried to drown out the truth in your soul. You were told who to be, how to act, what to fear, and what to chase. You were handed labels, beliefs, and false identities like masks, none of which ever truly fit. You tried to belong, but your spirit always felt just slightly out of place, as if you were wearing shoes that weren't yours. And while you walked through life smiling on the outside, deep inside you were searching for peace, for purpose, for home. And during those lost years, so many things tried to control you. Narcissists who fed on your kindness, people who manipulated your sensitivity, fear that whispered lies, and self-doubt that tied your hands behind your back, even when freedom was right in front of you. But something powerful happened, something sacred. You started remembering. It didn't happen all at once. It was subtle, like a whisper in your chest, a dream you couldn't shake, a feeling that you knew something more was real, even if no one around you could see it. you started noticing the patterns. You realized certain people were draining your energy. You began to question what you were taught, what you believed, and what you were really doing here. You began to see that the chains around you were invisible, but they were never locked. You'd been free all along, but you were living in a prison built by fear, by trauma, and by people who saw your light and feared it would expose their darkness. And now that you remember who you are, not just as a person, but as a divine being, a soul of ancient power, you can never be controlled again. Not by narcissists, not by fear, not even by your own doubts. They all lose their grip the moment you realize the truth. You were never small. You were only told you were. Narcissists had power over you when you didn't know your worth. They fed off your need for approval, your open heart, your willingness to keep peace even at the cost of your own soul. But now that you see them for who they are, empty, masking their wounds with control and charm, they can't get near your peace. Your spirit knows. Your energy speaks louder than words, and it no longer allows what it once tolerated. Your presence now sets boundaries without even having to speak. You walk with the quiet confidence of someone who no longer begs to be seen because you see yourself. Clearly, fully, powerfully. Fear, too, has lost its voice. It used to creep in at night whispering, "You're not good enough, you'll be alone forever," or "No one understands you." And sometimes you believed it. You let fear shape your choices, guide your steps, and hold your truth hostage. But not anymore, not now, because now you remember that fear is just a shadow. It can't survive where your light shines. You no longer ask fear for permission. You move boldly. You speak freely. You choose with confidence. You've seen what happens when you dim your light, and you've made the sacred decision to never go dark again. And self-doubt? That old voice that used to echo in your mind, telling you to stay quiet, to play small, to wait for someone else to lead. It has gone silent. Because now you understand something divine. You were chosen to lead yourself. To awaken not only for your healing, but to become a beacon for others who are still asleep. You don't need anyone's validation to feel valuable. You don't need applause to feel important. You know that your very breath is purpose. Your very being is evidence that God still plants stars on earth. This remembrance didn't come easy. You fought through storms no one saw. You cried in silence, rebuilt your soul piece by piece, and walked through fire just to find your voice. And now, you speak not with ego, but with divine authority. You don't. Out loud, that truth made people nervous. Because they knew they couldn't lie to you the way they lied to others. They couldn't fool you. Your eyes saw too much. Your energy felt too much. And your spirit? It was too strong to be controlled. That's why you were attacked. Not because you were broken, but because you were a mirror they couldn't cover. But listen closely. Every attack was actually a confirmation. It confirmed your power. It confirmed your calling. It confirmed your light. Because no one throws stones at an empty field. They only throw stones at a tree that's bearing fruit. You've been that tree all along. And though it hurt, oh yes, it hurt, you survived. You didn't become bitter. You became wiser. You didn't shut down. You grew deeper roots, and now you see it clearly. The attacks weren't proof that something was wrong with you. They were proof that something powerful was right about you. So the next time someone tries to dim your light, remember, they're just scared of what your light is revealing in them. And instead of shrinking back, shine brighter. You're not here to make people comfortable. You're here to help them wake up. You're not just a person. They see their reflection in you. You are the mirror that shows them what they're running from. And one day, that mirror might be the very thing that leads them to healing. But until then, keep rising, keep shining, keep being you. Because the more they attack, the more they reveal what they fear. And what they fear is the power of your truth. You carry something sacred, something rare. Have you ever wondered why your journey felt so heavy? Why you always felt different, misunderstood, or too deep for the people around you? From a young age, you noticed things others didn't. You felt energy in rooms when no one spoke. You sensed people's pain even when they smiled. You could never lie to yourself for long, even when it hurt. While others seemed fine living on the surface, you always felt pulled into something deeper, something invisible but very real. And that's because you chose to awaken early. Your soul signed up for this long before you were born. You didn't just randomly wake up before others. You volunteered. You said, "Send me ahead. I'll go first. I'll remember who I am in a world that forgets." You didn't choose this path because it would be easy. You chose it because your spirit was strong enough to handle what others couldn't. And the truth is, it wasn't always fair. You were forced to grow up faster, to carry emotions bigger than your body, to face rejection from people who never even tried to understand your heart. You watched friendships fall apart, family members turn cold, and people walk away. Not because you did something wrong, but because your light stirred something in them they weren't ready to face. And for a long time, you may have blamed yourself. You asked, "Why does this always happen to me? Why am I always the one left behind, left out, or left wondering what I did wrong?" But here's what you must understand now. Your pain wasn't punishment. It was preparation. You were never being punished by God, the universe, or life. You were being trained. Trained to see what others miss. Trained to feel what others deny. Trained to hold compassion for people even when they hurt you. Your heartbreak taught you how to heal others. Your silence taught you how to listen beyond words. Your loneliness taught you how to comfort those who feel invisible. You didn't go through all that for nothing. Every tear, every scar, every dark night of the soul, it was building you into a guide, a torchbearer, a soul so full of fire that you could walk into the deepest darkness and still carry light. That's who you are. That's who you've always been. And now, as others begin to wake up, confused, scared, unsure, you're already walking ahead of them. You've been there. You've felt what they're just starting to feel. And because of that, they won't have to walk alone. You're the one who breaks generational patterns, who sees through the lies, who dares to ask, well, what if there's more to this life than survival? You're the one who creates safety in a world that's forgotten how to love gently. You didn't just survive your early awakening, you grew into it. You became stronger, wiser, more grounded, and now when people meet you, they feel something different. They feel peace. They feel seen. They feel safe. Because you carry the energy of someone who's already walked through fire and made it out with a heart still open. Most people only understand after they've been broken, but you understood before. That's why your light is so rare. That's why your journey has felt so long, because while others were sleeping, you were healing. You were remembering. You were learning how to guide, not with control or force, but with quiet, sacred strength. And now the world is shifting. More and more souls are waking up every day. They're searching for just learned how to protect it. So when people ask why life has been so hard, tell them, because I was the one Thoth spoke of. I was the first to awaken. I was the one the world rejected because I am the one the world will soon remember. From the moment you were born, the world tried to tell you who you were supposed to be. Be quiet. Be normal. Be like everyone else. Don't dream too big. Don't ask too many questions. Don't feel too deeply. They wanted to place you in a box. A small one. A box made of rules, labels, and limits, but no matter how hard they tried, you never fit. You were too wild in spirit, too deep in thought, too bright for their dim rooms. They said, "You're just human." But your soul whispered something different. Because deep down you always knew you're more than flesh and bone. You're an eternal being. A soul that's lived before and will live again. You didn't come here to just go to school, get a job, follow the crowd, and disappear. You came here on a divine mission. That's why boxes never felt right. That's why labels never told your full story. That's why fitting in always felt like shrinking. People couldn't understand you because they were trying to measure something infinite with human eyes. They saw only the surface. But your energy, your presence, it couldn't be contained. Even when they told you to be less, your soul kept reaching for more. Even when they tried to define you, your spirit kept breaking the rules. They tried to lock you in a role, but you were born to rewrite the script. They tried to cage your wings, but you were born to fly higher. So stop trying to fit. You were never made for the box. You were made for the stars. Have you ever looked around and thought, why does everything feel so off? Like you're in the right body, but the wrong world. Like you're watching everyone follow a script, but yours was written in a language no one else understands. That's because you're not from here, not in the way most people are. Your soul didn't originate in this frequency. You came from higher places, realms of light, truth, peace, and deep spiritual knowing. You volunteered to come here, not to blend in, but to shift the energy of this world. That's why you never quite fit in. That's why small talk drained you, fake smiles confused you, and the world's obsession with money, status, and image felt empty. While others were chasing trends, you were chasing truth. While they fought to be seen, you quietly searched for meaning. You've always been different because you were meant to be. You came here as a frequency holder, a bridge between dimensions, a living reminder that love, light, and truth still exist. But existing in this heavy world hasn't been easy. You felt lonely, misunderstood, misplaced. But hear this. That feeling of not belonging isn't a weakness, it's proof. Proof that your soul remembers something higher. Proof that you were sent here to change the atmosphere, not absorb it. You weren't born to be normal. You were born to raise the vibration. And every time you speak truth, choose love, or stand alone in peace, you're doing what you came here to do. You don't need to fit this world. You came to help it wake up. They didn't hate you. They hated the mirror you held to their unconscious self. Let's be real. People have treated you unfairly. They've lied about you, gossiped behind your back, turned others against you, and acted like you were the problem, even when all you ever did was show up with a pure heart. And maybe you asked yourself, why me? Why did they go silent on you? Why did they get jealous, angry, or cold when all you gave was kindness? Why did they try to bring you down when you were just trying to lift them up? Here's the truth that will change how you see everything. They didn't actually hate you. They hated what they saw in you. And what they saw was a mirror. Not a mirror that reflected their beauty or success, but a mirror that reflected their hidden pain, insecurities, lies, and the parts of themselves they tried so hard to ignore. You were that mirror. Your presence reminded them of who they could have been if they were honest. Your strength reminded them of the courage they never built. Your kindness made their bitterness obvious. Your light made their darkness feel exposed. And your truth? It shook their illusions. They didn't attack you because you were weak. They attacked you because you were powerful. And every insult, every betrayal, every smear campaign, it was really their way of saying, I see something in you I don't understand, and it makes me uncomfortable. You didn't trigger their hate, you triggered their shame. You didn't create drama, you disrupted their denial, because when someone is living in lies and hiding behind masks, the worst thing that can happen is standing next to someone who lives in truth. And you? You've always had a deep honesty inside you, even when you didn't speak it, something not of this world but sent here to heal it. You are the spark of something ancient. You are not just blood and bone. You are code. You are light. You are living proof that divine beings still walk the earth. And now that you're awakening, nothing will ever be the same. Because the code inside you has started to activate, and the world won't be able to ignore you for much longer. Welcome back, Divine One. You didn't just come to remember. You came to awaken the others. Have you ever wondered why certain people treated you badly even when you did nothing wrong? Why some people seem to hate you for just being yourself? Here's the truth. It wasn't about what you did. It was about what you reflected. You were never just a person to them. You were a mirror that showed them the truth they didn't want to face, a mirror that revealed their lies, their pain, their jealousy, and their fake masks. And narcissists? They hate truth more than anything, because their world is built on illusions. They wear masks to pretend they're better, smarter, more powerful. They lie to themselves and everyone around them just to feel important. But then you walked in, you weren't fake. You didn't wear a mask. You saw through their games, and you didn't even have to say a word. Just by being real, you made them feel exposed. That's why they attacked you. That's why they made you question yourself. Because when a narcissist looks at someone who lives in truth, they feel small, powerless, scared. So they tried to turn the mirror around. They made it seem like you were the problem. They blamed you, twisted your words, and tried to break your spirit, because if they could shatter the mirror, they could go back to pretending. But here's the powerful part. They couldn't break you. They only revealed how scared they were of your light. You were never too much. You were just too honest in a world full of masks. And now that you know who you are, the mirror has turned back toward them. And this time they can't look away. Some people talk loud to get noticed, some fake kindness to be liked, others wear masks just to survive in a world full of lies. But you never had to do any of that. You could walk into a room and not say a word, yet people would feel you. Your presence spoke before your mouth ever did. That's because you carry something many don't. Pure energy. An honest, spiritual, powerful energy that can't be copied or faked. Narcissists felt it right away. They noticed you before you even noticed them. And no matter how much they smiled at you, deep down, they felt uncomfortable. Not because you were rude, not because you said anything wrong, but because your energy, your truth, made their mask feel shaky. See, narcissists spend their lives creating false versions of themselves. They build images, lie to others, and even lie to themselves just to feel important. But when someone like you shows up, someone real and raw, it rattles them. Why? Because your energy reminds them of everything they're pretending to be. They couldn't stand being around you for long. You were calm, they were chaotic. You were real, they were rehearsed. You were free, they were trapped in their own lies. And your energy? It quietly revealed everything they were trying to hide. It made their fake smiles feel weak. It made their control slip. So they did what narcissists do. They attacked, they gossiped, they tried to make you feel small. But the truth is, they were scared. Not of you, but of the way your light exposed their shadow. You don't need to prove anything. You never did. You are felt. You are seen. And no mask can survive long in the presence of your truth. There were times you felt invisible, times when the world made you question your worth, times when you cried silently, wondering, what's wrong with me? But here's the truth no one told you. Nothing was ever wrong with you. They just didn't want you to know how powerful you truly are. The people who tried to shame you, confuse you, and break you, they weren't attacking your weakness. They were attacking your greatness. They saw something in you that even you hadn't discovered yet, a quiet, divine fire deep inside your soul. A light so strong it scared those who lived in darkness. So what did they do? They tried to bury it. With guilt, with fear, with words like, you're not good enough, or you'll never be anything. But you weren't broken. You were just buried. And not buried to die, but buried like a seed. See, a seed looks small, forgotten and lost in the dirt, but inside it carries a whole tree, a whole future. And just like that seed, you were planted deep so your roots could grow strong in silence. They thought they were crushing you, but they were helping you prepare for your rising. And now the rain has come. The light has reached you. And that divine spark in you, the one they tried to hide, is waking up. You were never just a victim of life. You were...
That's not a curse. That's not something wrong with you. It means you woke up. But you did it before the world was ready. People mocked you, didn't they? They said you were too sensitive, too emotional, too dramatic. They made you doubt your own voice. They pushed you out of groups, made you feel like the problem, and called you different in the worst way. But the truth is, you weren't broken. You were just awake in a world that's still sleepwalking. Most people are still trapped in lies, chasing fake dreams, living behind masks, doing what they're told without question. But not you. You began to question things. You started noticing how fake some smiles were, how the world worships the wrong things, how people hide pain behind pride. And because you saw the truth, you became a threat. That's why they tried to silence you. That's why narcissists tried to break your spirit, because you were seeing too much too soon. But you weren't early by accident. You were chosen to wake up first, to prepare the path for others, to stand strong even when standing alone. And while it hurt deeply, you survived. You're still here. And the very things that made you feel like an outsider are the same things that prove your light is real. You are not too much. You are exactly what this world needs, a soul wide awake in a time of deep sleep. Before you even knew who you were, they knew. Narcissists saw something in you from the very beginning. Something rare, something powerful. You didn't see it yet. You were still discovering yourself. Still innocent, kind and trusting. But they sensed your light. Your spirit made them uncomfortable before you ever spoke a word. You walked into a room and they felt it. The calm, the wisdom, the love in you. But instead of admiring it, they feared it. Because narcissists thrive on control. They live through lies, masks, and manipulation. And your truth, your natural light, it was a direct threat to their false world. So what did they do? They tried to dim it, slowly, quietly, making you question yourself. They called you too emotional. They made you feel wrong for loving deeply. They mocked your dreams, twisted your words, and acted like your pain was your fault. Why? Because the more confused and insecure you became, the easier it was for them to feel powerful. But here's what they couldn't destroy: your essence. Even when they made you doubt your worth, your light never left. It only hid for a while, but now it's returning, brighter, stronger, wiser. You're not the same person they tried to control. You've awakened to who you truly are. And now the game has changed. Because they can no longer dim a light that knows it was born to shine. You've probably heard people say, well, you're different. Maybe you've felt it your whole life too. But let me tell you something most people will never hear in their lifetime. You don't just carry human blood, you carry divine code. Yes, your body came from your parents, but your soul, your spirit, it's ancient. It carries the memories, the power, and the light of something far older than this world remembers. You weren't born just to survive like everyone else. You were born to awaken, to remember, to rebuild what's been lost. And that's why some people feel triggered just by being around you. Your truth doesn't come from books. It's inside you. That inner wisdom, that strong gut feeling, those deep thoughts you had even as a child, those weren't just daydreams. They were activations, reminders of who you really are. You came here with a frequency, a vibration that doesn't match the world's noise. And narcissists, people living fake lives, hiding behind masks, they feel it. They feel your presence exposing them without you saying a word. Your light stirs something in them, something they've buried. That's why they lash out. That's why they lie about you, attack you, try to control you, or make you feel small, because deep down they know you carry something pure. And purity reveals what is false. You're not just good at reading people, like you see through spirits. You're not just sensitive. You're in tune with things most can't even hear. Why? Because your soul remembers lifetimes of truth. Your DNA remembers the language of stars, of ancestors, of heaven. You didn't learn it. It was downloaded into you long before this life. That's why you don't fit in with the crowd. That's why material things never fully satisfied you. You were never meant to follow the system. You were meant to rebuild it, to walk with truth, even when it costs you everything. Some people feel uncomfortable around you because you activate something they're trying to avoid. Truth. You don't need to expose them. Just by being you, they feel exposed. And I know it hurts to be misunderstood, to be attacked for simply existing as you are. But please hear this. It's not because you're wrong. It's because you're right. You carry something sacred, something rare.
The God within life was waiting for. The time for hiding is over. The time for rising has begun. They didn't know what they were burying, but you did. And now, so will the world. Some people feed on drama. They stir up confusion, twist your words, and create chaos wherever they go. They don't want peace. They want control. Narcissists are masters at this. They build their power by keeping everyone off balance, second-guessing, and full of doubt. It's like they live in a fog and they want you trapped in it too, but you were born different. You walk in clarity. You bring peace. You ask questions that cut through the noise. And without even trying, you shine light on the lies they carefully built. That's why narcissists reacted so strongly to you. They couldn't manipulate you easily. They couldn't confuse you like they do with others. Your discernment, that deep knowing in your spirit, made it hard for their games to work. You didn't even need to raise your voice. Your presence alone disturbed their control. When everyone else was falling for their tricks, you stood still. When others believed the drama, you sensed the deeper truth. And when things felt off, you didn't ignore it, you felt it, even if no one else could explain it. That's what makes you a distortion breaker. Your calmness breaks their chaos, your clarity tears down their illusions, your truth threatens their lies. They don't fear your anger, they fear your silence. They don't fear your strength, they fear your peace. Because when you're at peace, you can see clearly. And when you can see clearly, you can't be controlled. So remember this, you're not here to fit in. You're here to reset the room, to shift the energy, to bring truth where there's been confusion. For too long, you weren't made to live in the fog. You were made to clear it, because you're not just a light. You're the one who ends the illusion. There was a time when you kept trying to explain yourself, to defend your heart, to prove your worth to people who never really saw you. You gave them chance after chance, hoping they'd finally understand your love, your kindness, your intentions. But they didn't want to understand, they wanted control. And as long as you kept explaining, justifying, and questioning yourself, they had power. Because every time you wondered, maybe I am the problem, they won. Every time you said, maybe I'm too much, they smiled behind the mask. They had you under their spell, not with magic, but with manipulation, guilt, and fear. But one day, you stopped. You stopped explaining your heart to people who were committed to misunderstanding you. You stopped shrinking to make others feel big. You stopped questioning what your spirit always knew deep down. You are chosen, you are powerful, you are enough. That moment, that was your awakening, and it shattered their spell because their control only worked when you were confused. Their lies only stuck when you were doubting. But now that you remember who you are, they can't touch you, they can't shake you, they can't guilt trip or gaslight someone who's no longer available for drama. You remembered that your worth isn't based on how others treat you. It's based on the divine truth you carry in your soul. And when you rose in that truth, their games collapsed. They lost access. Not because you became cold, but because you became clear. This is the power of remembering. And now that you do, there's no going back. There's something you need to know, something ancient, something powerful. You being rejected wasn't a mistake, it was prophecy. Long ago, Thoth, the Egyptian god of wisdom and divine truth, spoke of a time when certain souls would descend to earth, not as kings, but as forgotten gods. These souls would awaken before everyone else. They would carry light before the world was ready for it. And because of that, they wouldn't be welcomed with honor. They would be met with jealousy, betrayal, and spiritual attacks. Sound familiar? That's because the prophecy was talking about you. From the start, you were different. You didn't think like others. You felt deeper, questioned more, and saw through things people tried to hide. But instead of being celebrated for your wisdom, you were made to feel wrong, too sensitive, too intense, too weird. But here's the truth. They didn't reject you because you lacked something. They rejected you because you carried everything they were still missing. Your presence made people uncomfortable, not because you were bad, but because your light exposed their shadows. And just like Thoth said, the first awakened one would not be embraced, they would be targeted, because the darkness always senses when real light has entered the room. You were sent ahead, not to be praised, but to prepare, not to be accepted, but to awaken the others. The spiritual battles, the betrayal, the emotional wounds, you've faced all of it. But through it, you never lost your light. You